Hello and welcome to the Utopia Restoration Podcast. For new listeners, this is a podcast all about Land Rovers, cars, anything and everything to do with the automotive world. We sometimes have some interesting guests on here, and other times it's just me and my good friend Joe talking about cars. And that's what's happening this week. We had a good weekend. We went to visit the London Mud Club, saw some really cool Land Rovers, and managed to do a good bit of work on the Spitfire. So had a fantastic time. So we'll jump into that in just a second. To give you an update on what's happening at Utopia and some things we've got going on, like I mentioned in the podcast, we have a collection of classic bikes with us, mainly British bikes and Harley Davidsons. So if you are interested in those, drop me a message on Instagram. Not a lot of those are going to be being shared just because they are quite unique and interesting bikes. But Land Rover wise, much more interesting than that. We don't have one, but we currently have two 2009 TDCi 110 station wagons. If you are into those, they're both varying spec, varying mileage, and varying price points. So if you are looking for a Land Rover 110, drop me a message and come down and see those whenever you want. We're now going to jump into the podcast and let Joe and I finish the rest of it off. See you in a second. Hello to episode 4, series 2. I'm joined by Joseph Allen again.
Hello.
There you go, that's Joseph Allen. Today we are in the workshop, but we didn't want to sit on the chairs, so we sat in Joe's MX-5. Which, as we always say, is very nice and quite enjoy. So,
that's right.
Apart from your fun gear stick in the middle, which
Can we still?
we'll see. Can we get an audible noise? That is Joseph's gears on the podcast for everyone to witness. That's actually quite cool, isn't it? It's got a very nice short shifter. It's very high. It's about the same height as your
It's because it's
hazards,
ergonomic.
isn't it? Yeah, it's
That's the
ergonomic.
idea.
How far away would you say it is from your handle?
I don't know, 15 centimetres?
Ah, that's not far. It's pretty cool, to be fair. It's a bit like the so today we've just been having fun in the Spitfire, haven't we, really?
Yeah.
Which, for the podcast, episode 2, where Joe and I were chatting nonsense about cars, we were talking about a potential new car, and I went looking, and then within a week I was texting Joe saying come pick up a new car with me.
Yeah.
So that was quite a fun one, wasn't it? We got a YouTube out on that, which was quite silly, but
Yes.
it was good fun of a car. Just found it as usual. Went to go see it, and it was very nice and local. I didn't fall in love with it. I am very objective when buying my own cars, and I ended up getting it 2 days later. Got it traded by Rhino Recovery. But yeah, how would you describe the Spitfire when we got it, Joe?
It's alright, a work in progress.
Yeah, it's a bit of a rolling project, isn't it? It's not perfect. It's also quite loud for a 1.3 litre 70 horsepower car, isn't it?
It doesn't have any mufflers.
Yeah, it's
None.
just got the headers, then one silencer at the rear. And the carbs definitely need tuning, which I don't think helps with all the extra fuel.
Backfiring.
Yeah, it's quite burbly, isn't it? So today we got rally tyres were put on it. It's now got the rally headlights, and most importantly the stopwatch, of course.
Nice.
And then we're driving it around some local roads and some local dirt tracks, and discovering how low it is to the ground. So we've measured the front, isn't it, and where the number plate is. In the workshop it looks like it's maybe 10 centimetres, then when it's actually out on gravel on an uneven surface,
Yeah, so it's not much.
it's about
Doesn't leave
3,
much
isn't it?
room.
No, so there's a few scrapes and bumps. So we got more of a plan. We were planning to use suspension for it anyway, weren't we? But I think maybe this time we may need some sump guards because there were some few normal ditches. It's just funny driving it as well, isn't it? Because even just around here, I know the roads because I drive around here all the time. And there's some potholes, and of course I'm just used to being in a Range Rover and going over them. You see them in the Spitfire and they're terrifying.
You're going at no speed anyway, but it just feels like you're going a million miles an hour.
Yeah, the speedo doesn't work. I think we probably got to about 15 miles an hour today. Both of us weren't scared.
There's so many exposed, sharp, rusty objects in the cabin. So you're trying to brace yourself, but then also dodge all of those.
Yeah, bouncing around. But yeah, how would you describe driving the Spitfire on some dirt roads, especially now? You didn't get to drive it with the old tyres. Now it's got the new tyres.
Briefly.
It's got actual. Oh yeah. To be fair.
It's alright. I actually think it drives better than I thought it was going to.
Yeah, it's gonna be 50-year-olds next year.
It was a lot more modern than I thought it was going to.
Yeah, and it's quite responsive. I mean,
nice and 924, I'd say.
Yeah.
In terms of controls.
Yeah.
Gearbox is way easier. Pedals are a lot nicer. The steering's a lot lighter because it weighs 500 kilos less.
Yeah, and it's got a good amount of weight over the front axles, doesn't it? So you've still got like
Yeah.
a responsive steering and rear wheel drive, not rear wheel steering. God, that's modern cars, isn't it? But you can, on some of the gravelly corners, a little bit of acceleration partway through them does give it a little bit of a kick out, doesn't it? And you get a little bit of a gravel slide. But yeah, it's a pretty fun project. I reckon sat in your Race MX-5, we'll when we take it to Chelsea Walsh and some other things this summer, I reckon you'll probably beat me by quite some time. So I may be closer to Tom, but I think my fear factor versus Tom's fear factor may be a bit higher.
That's the thing.
So yeah, it's really, isn't it? It's who's willing to. I mean, I'm going to get a roll cage in mine, but
That doesn't stop Tom.
it's not going to do much. Tom's actually got a real engine in his. I mean, it's literally mine's 70 horsepower, isn't it? So
Yeah, but I think Tom's only 110. A couple of extra 100 kilos.
I reckon it could be close. You know, mine with its lift kit on the front and its roamed handling, bucket seats, stripped out weight. I'm going to have to lose a few pounds. I'm going to start going to the gym just for pure weight saving in the car.
Yeah.
Or I'm just going to get shorter. I'll just get Josie to drive it. She's lighter. She'll be the race driver for the track times. But yeah, it's going to be a fairly silly project, and it's already starting to look silly. I think next suspension, seats, roll cage,
Yeah.
and like tuning carbs, and doing the headers and the exhaust, sorting out the overheating.
I think it's worth looking into diffs, LSDs.
Yeah, I wasn't sliding around in the field.
However,
I wasn't trying to do donuts in my car.
it's now a single tyre track.
That was someone else. That wasn't me. But yeah, one. You were saying one wheel was just going for it. But yeah, but it'll be fun. And then give it a respray, and it'll all be good. And then, to be fair, it may be up for sale. I may build you one similar if you want one. Who knows really? Or I may keep it forever. So can't really decide at the minute.
It's so vague. You covered every base.
Yeah, exactly.
Might sell it.
Might keep it. I could make you one that looks like it. So if you're interested, yeah, you can see it all on the Instagram and stuff like that. But yeah, so that's a fairly cool car that's now at the workshop. We've also got the grey 110 that's arrived last week and has already had a deposit taken on it. So by the time this podcast goes out, that will be gone and off to its new home. We also have on Sunday another 110 arriving, which is a Twisted. So 60,000 miles, a winch on the front, not any winch, a worn winch, Joseph, the best winch, and a roof rack and cool extras. So that's a fairly cool one. That's coming on Sunday. And then we've got some motorbikes that are coming down. So any motorbike collectors, get in touch because they're all quite specialist. And yeah, old British stuff, old Harleys, just some really, really unique stuff. It's going to be fairly cool. I think we've got some other things coming in, but I can't think at the moment. So there's quite a few. I've got a list somewhere.
More Defenders.
Yeah, more Defenders. But anyway, enough about my cars. We're sat in Joseph's MX-5, which is lovely. What colour? Cream and a black interior.
Creamy.
Yeah, I think it's quite a respectable spec. But this may not be your only car. We talked about last time you were looking at some things. Let's progress a little further, no?
I don't know. I think I was still at the same stage. Still talking about 335i's, Touring's.
Well, you managed to find a few more, didn't you? Because you only found one for sale.
Yeah,
And then you sort of managed to find 2 or 3, haven't you?
Yeah, just trying to find one lowest miles.
Yeah.
Because there's a massive price difference between some that have got say 6,000 miles, and some that have got 100. It's sort of 6-7 grand. It's mad.
Yeah, it's quite significant, isn't it? And do they have? Because like, say for example, the Range Rover, every 70k the turbos need dirty.
Yeah, so stuff like that. Yeah.
Is there anything like that on those that is like when you get close to 100?
Yeah, so you got to look out, see whether the turbos have any issues, so wastegate rattle and stuff like that. See if they've ever been changed. What else? There's a few bits like that where, as you said, it comes up with 70-80k, so around that sort of mileage, and you want to see that they've been ticked off and done, because otherwise it'll just be a money pit straight off.
Oh yeah. Well, even if you can maybe find one that's like, I don't know, 110, 120 that say had turbos done.
Yeah.
It could be maybe not a better bet. I mean, you still got the problems with the more mileage car, but maybe a better one than say getting something that's like 70 or 80k, and then you're going to be using it as your car for the Lake District, Peak District, Cornwall, 20k. I mean, I do that a year, so
it'll be 15 or 20. That's
you
sort
could
of mileage.
if you get something that's 80k, you could quite easily get into new turbo territory, couldn't you, for a $6 grand premium?
Yeah.
Turbo pricing.
Yeah, it's worth thinking about.
I think it's always the same with the like interesting luxury barges, isn't it? But
I said to you earlier, it's like the obvious answer is saying diesel and made by Ford.
Yeah, something
just,
reliable.
Just a diesel Focus. It's just not interesting. And I get my sister's Mini and I drive that for a bit and go, this is so numb and this is so boring. I'm done with it after a day.
Yeah, well that's what we were talking about, weren't we? Like Fiesta STs, like Focus STs or something like that. But even those, we drove past one today, didn't we? 13 grand for a Mark 7.5, but ST Mark 4. Yeah, 13 grand. Silly.
Just seems mad.
But yeah, like you say, if you're not in it, you're not going to keep it, are you? Like, you've got to be. But the same again. We touched on it vaguely last time. Fuel now around here, I was saying 199 for diesel. What was it?
I paid 186.9 for just E10 today.
Yeah, so exactly. You get an older one like those BMW diesels are at £2.
Yeah, I'm trying to stay away from diesels.
So, or you get the petrol ones. They won't be E10, although they'd be premium. But to be fair, premium's not far off standard. I filled up a jerry can for the Spitfire, 5 litres of premium. It was £12. And it literally gave it to Josie in the passenger seat. It's like that. It's literally £12 between your feet. So like 60 quid gets me a quarter of a tank. But
yeah, it's mad.
It's stupid, isn't it? We were saying that the what's the name of the committee?
CMA.
Yeah, the monopoly committee, isn't it?
Yeah.
Looking into it to see if the 5p tax has made it to consumers. Which, I mean, it did. It went down by 5p. Then the next week it went up by 10. Yeah. So it's all a bit of a joke, isn't it?
But yeah. When's that come out? I think that's middle of next month it comes out.
Yeah, and the fuel industry wants to be transparent about it. Which I'm sure there's going to be no findings, really, is there? Because, like, I don't know. You were talking about the reasonings behind the increase, isn't it?
Yeah. The crude oil, the supply of crude oil is still the same, but it's the refinery process that's been halted or slowed down because of Russia and all that sort of stuff.
Those people.
So yeah, it's still there. It's just not in a form that it's not in petrol or diesel that you can use yet.
Which I do get, but my problem with a lot of it is that this was initially started during the pandemic by a certain fuel company creating a shortage with media. Like when there wasn't actually a shortage, they just claimed there was a shortage of drivers and then created panic, and then that created the increase to 160.
Yeah.
And it didn't really go down from there, did it? And then after that, now it's just been going up more and more and is in line with inflation. But it's literally every week almost, every 2 weeks, it's 5p more.
There's a few. Yeah, if inflation is at 11% and the fuel's doubled in the past 18 months, 2 years.
Yeah.
Nearly doubled.
And there are rumours. I don't want all the listeners on this to go stockpile, because we're not going to be part of the problem. But there is rumours that it may possibly double. That I've heard. I mean, I don't know how true it is or if it's again scaremongering ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was not even sure that some of the signs could go to 2. I was like, have they just built them to always be 1? You know?
It just ends.
That's what I mean. They just can't go to 2.
Start smoking.
Yeah. It's like at the 2000s when all the computers got to 0. They didn't know what would happen. I don't know. If it keeps going up more, it's just like it does make proper decisions, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because
like BMW we're talking about this. Yeah, I could be putting 400 quid's worth of fuel in it a month with the miles I do, which is a lot.
Yeah, on top of then all the running costs and everything like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Then also people that I know that have got plug-in hybrids and electric were saying because of what's happened with home bills, if you're not on a fixed contract, like you're on variable contracts or something like that,
plugging in at home.
Yeah,
it's silly.
They're saying it actually works out to be more like effectively per litre per mile.
Well, this is
at
one
home on electric.
But Harry Metcalf, Harry's garage did a video and he had he was talking about he had an F12 or an 812, like one of those V12 Ferrari, and he said it was costing him less to fill up and use that than it was to charge one of his electric cars at electrical like forecourt or service stations. Yeah, which is mental.
Which is the thing, because like even I mentioned about I'd maybe consider converting the Range Rover because it's now expensive.
Yeah.
But then you're like, 15 grand on a conversion plus all the electric costs at home.
For it to then not be that cheap.
Yeah. So, anyway, we've figured it all out. We're going to both get electric cars and go live off the grid and live on solar and wind power, and then it'll be free.
No, thank you.
So, you don't want the Mazda to be electric? A little whining going.
Oh, brilliant.
Be quiet. Annoying. Be the silent Viper, wouldn't it?
Some of them make space car noises.
Oh yeah.
So like you get the odd one Porsche Taycan and stuff like that. That
they got the synthetic sounds, don't they?
But apart from that, I find electric cars totally dull. No sound, no engagement. Yeah.
No, not for Joseph. I mean, it may be for the commuter, but like even though you're saying, I was looking at some things, like picking up projects that are further away, or picking up bikes and stuff like that. And you're like, I can go look at it, but by the time that I've looked at it, there's 200 quid in fuel, so that £300 that I'm getting off because it's further away is no longer as cheap as it was. So I don't know what our predictions are. My reality, I'd like it to go back to £1.10 a litre. When I brought the Range Rover, that's what it was. That was what I like it to go back down to. But we've all got dreams. We've all got aspirations.
I never used to be able to get 50 quid in this, and now it's over 65-ish.
Yeah, when you told me that, I was like, oh, cry me. But first world problems. Well, to be fair, I was looking at some more economical Land Rovers, if they do exist. Well, I don't know, I may get mine. Apparently my MPG is a bit low. I don't think that's due to driving style. It's not. I actually have been quite good for
it. You go in sport mode?
Right, that was just today because you were around. I wasn't showing off because my friend was around. When I'm commuting, it's generally below 2k revs, right? So it's not overly high. I think I need to get... we've got a trip to Wales soon. I think I need to get the EGR cleaned, and you can get DPF cleaners and stuff like that, and someone down the road that does it. So I may have a look at that. Oh yeah, some other cool things. You sent me that in Bracknell, that engine specialist.
Oh yeah, that was I was just been nosy on collecting cars. I had a Morris Minor race car,
which was pretty cool. It was an interesting colour, wasn't it? It was like a
violet,
baby purple. It was like baby pinky purple,
like a pastely purple.
Yeah, like
pretty gross.
What are those? Purple violet.
Palmer violets.
That's it.
Purple violet.
It was like one of those colours. But yeah, Morris one, and it had on a little plaque saying
race engine made by some company in Bracknell.
Yeah, cool. Which I looked up, and it's a 5-minute walk from me. So I may actually take the Spitfire to them to have a little bit of race tuning. So I may talk to them about that.
They might see the carbs.
Oh yeah, that's what we're hoping for. Well, I want to get the headers done before I do that, because I don't want to get it all tuned and then start changing stuff like that.
That's the point.
So get those done, get it taken over, and get it tuned.
Can you get more free-flying headers?
Yeah. So I'm going to get hopefully the twin exhausts for it, and get big, because at the moment it's got those old sort of cast manifold straight into 4. So you can get the ones where the headers are much further down, and it still goes into 1 because you can't really have two pipes going down because of the body. But it is much further, and then I'm going to heat wrap those, and then heat wrap the exhaust as far as I can just to keep some heat out.
I think so.
Because as we discovered, the gearbox tunnel of the Spitfire is fiberglass, and I had a look at getting a new one. I was like, see if I can get something different. If you want to upgrade it, Rimmer Bros, who I like, we love Rimmer Bros, shout out to them. You can get an upgraded one, which rather than going for fiberglass, £20 more, you can get a plastic one.
Whoa!
Hello. And I'm like, well, I don't know.
Ding dong.
What's better? Is there actually a benefit of having a plastic one than a fiberglass? Not that I can think of at the moment. We'll get back to you on that one.
But yeah, it's just so high in the cabin.
Yeah, but I did think though, what is good with that is that it's got about 5 screws holding down the gearbox tunnel, so it's quite easy to take it off and insulate it, isn't it? Because I'm going to put some heat insulation on the other side.
Yeah.
It does have interior insulation in that bubbly foam.
The green stuff as well.
Yeah, and the green, like, it's like a scouring pad, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like a large scouring pad. But I don't really want insulation. I sort of want to be driving over gravel and you hear it like ting down the sides, and it will be a bit silly. But then you start pulling up the carpets and you start seeing where the floor's been filled. Then I'm sort of like, do I need to really be doing some welding on this car? So, fun British stuff, eh? Well, I'm going to start on the Land Rover soon. So I think pretty much both are going to get painted. I'm going to paint the interior of the Land Rover as well soon.
Yeah.
So, whilst the weather's nice and good.
Fair enough.
Admittedly, we say this today, it's
great.
Sand rain.
From what, 32 yesterday to this?
Yeah.
It must be 18 or 19.
We wouldn't be British if we didn't talk about the weather.
I can't help it. I'd start twitching.
Well, speaking of weather, I think that's a very nice transition into talking about Canada, the Canadian Grand Prix.
Sorry.
All right, okay.
Sorry. We just paused and you explain that transition.
So the transition is...
From weather to Canada.
Right. The transition is... This is how my mind works as well, so just bear with me the insight into William. The weather is cloudy here, But today it's been cloudy with partial chance of rain.
Meatballs.
No. Very good film. Good recommendation. No, we've been trying to avoid the rain because the Spitfire's got no roof that we're willing to put up. And yesterday in FP1 there was big, large, ominous clouds of rain looming.
Pull that one out your ass.
It did. There you go. We've connected it. What more of a connection do you need? So yeah, that is my connection, and now we are talking about F1. So
Deal with it.
Segue. Yeah, let's go straight. Porpoising. What is going on? Well, they've now FIA. What were you saying about earlier? That the FIA have.
That they've said that as a united body, they're all going to look into it. It's not down to manufacturers as much anymore because it's a safety issue for the drivers.
Yeah, because like last week in Baku,
yes,
Azerbaijan. You were watching it, like Hamilton was like, my back's hurting. You actually watched the onboards and you see their head shaking. The videos of inside the cameras of them actually in the cars is phenomenal that they can keep it in a straight line.
Yeah, Russell said it's not a pleasant car to drive at the moment or something like that.
When they say
like you wouldn't, yeah.
When they say the porpoising was almost like 3 or 4G
Really?
at points.
I didn't know that.
Something fairly intense. Which I know they're used to it in corners, but sideways is fairly different to compression. We sort of talked about it a bit. My personal view is I'm glad that the FIA have realised it's a joint problem because it's their regulations. We didn't have this problem last year.
Yeah.
There was no porpoising because of the new car that they've designed.
I mean, there's two sides to the argument, isn't it? It's that, to be fair, the FIA have put out regs that have led to more cars suffering with porpoising than we've ever seen. Or I've never heard of it before. But then the other side of the argument is that there are some teams that have figured out ways around it.
Yeah, that's true. So Red Bull have managed to get it quite a bit down, haven't they? Ferrari have still got a bit of it, which they struggle with on the straights.
It was like Martin Brundle was saying, it's not for the FIA to solve, it's for Mercedes to fix.
Yeah.
So there's quite a lot of people in that camp.
Yeah, but you think it's not just them, is it? Like, there's still quite a lot of the other ones are still...
And if it's a safety issue...
Yeah, I think it is fairly significant. And they've been giving it a pretty good go.
And I said to Will, they can't... To you.
To who? To me.
To you. The chuckle raps. That they say they can't see the issue in the wind tunnels. It doesn't arise.
Yeah.
Which means the teams can't go away and test it out in their own facilities. Yeah,
and like the Sims aren't doing it, are they? The Sims aren't picking it up, so you're racing on them and you're thinking of that.
You've got 3 days every 2 weeks to try and solve it. Or 3 days, however many days, 4 days.
And like when we were in Monaco, and you think like how Daniel was doing, and when he had his crash, because they're so much stiffer, because how they are lower, you've got like the bouncing, don't you? So they can't go as hard on curbs. And like he just bounced, didn't he? Yeah, so he hit the curb, like sort of came up and landed and came back up.
Okay.
Yeah, like the Spitfire does at speed, you know, when it lands you've got to adjust
at speed.
Yeah, over 30. And just lost the rear end, just lost grip, and once they lose grip, completely gone. Yeah. So I think it's an interesting one. I think how it will play out. But we were sort of talking about later on the season, I feel at the moment there's no fight between Leclerc and Verstappen.
Yeah.
They
play as a bit. Yeah.
They're too friendly, aren't they? Like, because they were childhood friends, like they were sort of friends through karting, and
yeah.
A lot of the new generation is on it. But like he'll start on pole, Verstappen will overtake him in a win. At the end, in the room afterwards, you see them chatting, and they're like, "Oh, good race." I think the real beef is going to be between Perez and Verstappen, because Perez is doing pretty well. He seems to be pretty on form.
Yeah.
And last race,
I mean, he can have pace.
Yeah.
But obviously, he's a proper number 2 driver.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. Christian Horner, of course, says there is no number 2. There is no number 2 in contracts. We are an equal team.
Okay.
But as we know with team orders and things like that, and then previously, was it Monaco? One of the previous races recently, or was Baku?
11 past right at the end.
Yeah, Perez was asking to be let in front.
Oh, sorry, talking about that. Yeah.
Perez was on the radio saying, I've got faster pace, why am I not being let in front? But then whenever Max has got faster pace, Perez has to let him go.
Yeah.
And as proven, Monaco, Perez won. Perez been getting second. Perez got the fastest lap of the race at Baku.
Yeah.
Like this one, he's been qualifying pretty well. He was getting better times in FP2, I think, FP1.
But it is just Max Golden Boy. That's...
Yeah. So we'll see on that one. I hope I hope there's a bit more. I don't want like last year. I don't think it needs to be that extreme.
No.
I do want a bit of fighting for it, a bit of power for the top.
That's what F1 wants as well.
Yeah.
It's the whole Liberty Media side of things.
Yeah, trying to.
Last year was great for them to have all that controversy, because that's what people would watch F1 for, as opposed to, just there's less, in terms of percentages, there's less race fans in F1 now than there were 10 years ago.
Yep.
Because it's now just entertainment as opposed to a motorsport event, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
There's more people watching it just because there's controversy.
Yeah,
than
a bit more
just because
drama.
racing.
And like Drive to Survive brings a lot more drama to it as well.
Yeah. I think that's been massive for F1.
Oh yeah, that's been really good for it. But like you say, other motorsports, Le Mans 24 Hours just happened, and I wanted to watch it, so I paid some money to Discovery Plus and managed to watch the 24-hour stream. I managed to catch it quite a few times, managed to catch Corvette crashes and things like that. But I just think it's just such a grueling race, and it's just so so different and so intense, isn't it? Literally winning by laps, not winning by seconds. And like when they come in for pits, like 30-second pit is a fairly quick one of people getting out the car, people changing them.
Yeah, I don't know.
Even sometimes when they got damage, they bring the cars into the pit, like fully box them just to get work done and get things. And yeah, it's just an intense one. Glickenhaus did really well. I think they're.
It's N24 is the one that gets me.
Yeah.
It's
It's quite
such a
grueling
narrow
track.
track. You could be in a little. What's some of the slower classes they have? You see a load of stuff in N24, like real slow stuff, but then you have GT3 cars absolutely blitz past.
Yeah, I mean
that
one's
terrifying.
especially grueling, isn't it? Because I don't even know how many corners is it on the Nürburgring.
Yeah, 130 odd.
Yeah, to remember every single one of those and get them perfect every single time.
Yeah,
It's fairly
with
big,
barriers
isn't it?
that close.
Yeah, it's just a different level of motorsport, isn't it? And like for Le Mans, the Glickenhaus ones, I think looked really cool. I think to me, I tried having a look at them. I think to me the styling of them looks like a Daniel Simons design that he did for futuristic Le Mans cars.
Okay.
Which is really similar on the lights and the design, which I think is really cool to then see one of like, I don't know if they did take inspiration or not, or what happened, or if that's just maybe Daniel Simon got it right on how the future of designs are going.
Yeah.
But I just think it's because he's one of my favourite designers, I think it's really cool. That was like you can actually almost see one that's racing.
Yeah.
I'll show you a picture of it in a moment to compare, and if you're listening you can Google it. But they do look really, his Timeless Racer series, that was it.
Mad. Okay.
So very cool that one. Well, there you go. I think that's it for us this week. We've brought a silly Spitfire. Still trying to pressure Joe into buying a silly BMW.
Yeah.
And we're going to do more silly things with the Spitfire. So all in all, it's been pretty fun and pretty frightening. And we'll chat to you guys next week.
Yeah.
Say bye, Joe.
Bye, Joe.
There you go. So thank you very much if you made it this far in the podcast. It's very special to have some people listening to the end. It was very good. So same as usual, just always ask, make sure you follow, like and subscribe. And if you really want to support this, make sure you head over to YouTube and watch it. We've got some really cool YouTube content coming out. We've got the Spitfire series of the work that I'm doing on that, and there'll be an update on that soon. And as I mentioned, soon start on the Land Rover Series 3 finally. And we've got loads of really cool projects. I mentioned at the moment we've got some really cool Land Rovers for sale. We've got two 110s. Also, we've got some really cool projects coming in over the summer. Some things I'll be doing some work on, some things we'll be doing work on, and then they will be going up for sale. So make sure you keep an eye on Instagram, keep engaging with that, tag me in stuff, I'll always comment and always like your tags. So yeah, make sure you're following us on all the social medias. It's Utopia Restoration, and hopefully we'll see you guys next week. Speak to you soon.